Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. At this point, world-renowned geologist Gregory Wrightstone. Greg, first of all, thank you so much for coming back and joining us. It's been a while since we've had a chance to talk, and I'm so happy to have you here. Greg, before we jump into today's primary topic, give us a little bit of inside baseball information, if you will. What's going on right now over at the CO2 Coalition?
So what's going on with the CO2 Coalition is that we've got a lot of things going on. I just filed a comment today on the 5th National Climate Assessment. We have a 40-page document. We filed a takedown of this. It's supposed to be, this National Climate Assessment is supposed to be done every 4 years, and it's just an abomination. It's a litany of everything they've gotten wrong about climate over the last 40 years, and then doubled down on it. It's just horrible. And it was so easy. It was fun because it was so easy to pick apart what the lies that they're promoting with this National Climate Assessment. Is just amazing. And we're the group to do it because we're a science-based organization.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, Greg, I can really tell you guys are picking up steam and momentum, too, at a real cognitive level, because I'm seeing your presence more and more places. At first, I started seeing more posts on social media across the board promoting the CO2 Coalition from various folks, and then people sharing and spreading. And then I started seeing some news articles here and there where they talked about your efforts to try and bring a little sanity back to the climate argument. And it is something you've been working on for a while, even before you started working with the CO2 Coalition.
It is. I wrote my book, Inconvenient Facts, back in, it was published in late 2017, and it was 5 years ago. And as of late, it was just 3 weeks ago, it was #1 bestseller on Amazon in 3 categories. And to have a book that's 5 years old, to do that, it's been back #1 bestseller repeatedly over the last 5 years because it's timely, it's not outdated, because I'm a geologist. We look at the long-term data and put what's happening today in that long-term perspective. And so Inconvenient Facts has been we've been crushing it, and it's just amazing that the darn thing won't die. And this doesn't happen with books. It just doesn't happen. And it's amazing with the success of this thing. And here at the CO2 Coalition, I took over the CO2 Coalition 2 years ago as executive director, and it was a very prominent organization of scientists that were publishing white papers and things. But one of the failures we had that I saw when I took over was messaging. And it doesn't matter if you've got a white paper that's really important and nobody sees it. Well, we need to get that out there. And so we've been providing this science out to the general public. We've got our outreach has just significantly increased. And we've got this, I'm so proud. We've got, last year, we had a number of our members that came up and said, I'm very upset with scientific education in the United States. We need to do something, and we did. And so we formed a committee, and the result of what we've done is remarkable. We've created 3, and we're about to publish the 4th comic. Comic books done manga style, it's like anime, for children. And we're teaching science to them about photosynthesis, about the gases in the air, about CO2, and the benefits of CO2. And then we've got, along with that, we have videos that are a little bit more in depth. Again, these are anime things that children just love. And we're teaching them about science without the alarm. And then compounding with that, we're following on with that. We've got lesson plans that we've developed. Dr. Sharon Camp, PhD in chemistry. She taught AP Science and developed AP curricula. has developed these lesson plans to go along with this for teachers, for educators, for homeschoolers. That'll be able to get this information. It's really, really going to be impactful. We're going to launch this early March. It'll be the CO2 Learning Center. You can go right now. You can go look at the videos on YouTube. If you just Google CO2 Learning Center YouTube, CO2 Learning Center YouTube, you can go look at these videos. They're fascinating. My granddaughter and granddaughter's 5, grandson's 3, they just were enthralled with these. Again, it's teaching science in an engaging manner without the climate alarm, and that's what we need. And so we're actually doing something at the CO2 Coalition to push back on this nonsense that is being foisted on our children.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I really love that approach too, because the big push that the folks that are the climate alarmists have been doing is they've been traumatizing children, trying to scare them to death. That's why Greta Thunberg is a name everyone knows now. They really have tried to terrify a lot of children into thinking that the world's coming to an end in 12 years or less. So by actually bringing some honest to goodness science instead of just alarmism where some folks are trying to cash in on, that's the best way to combat it. So kudos to you in the messaging there, because that is exactly the way this battle needs to be fought. That's where the left has gone after and tried to destroy just about everything that's good as far as the Republic here is concerned. So if you can start winning those hearts and minds back and show that, hey, real science suggests that it's not that bad, that's definitely a plus. But it is alarmism that these people trade in, which is why they don't like you or anybody that's associated with the group, or anybody that dares to even question their version of the science, which isn't particularly scientific. But I think Al Gore continues to stand out. We're just a little bit removed from the most recent Davos meeting, and the World Economic Forum doesn't normally spend quite as much time talking about climate policy. But this year, it almost felt like it became, at least there at the end, a little bit more of a clown show than the usual serious gathering of world leaders. And Al Gore once again set himself apart, especially with his little rant talking about how we were boiling the oceans and all this stuff. So as soon as I heard that rant, the first thing I thought of is, I have got to get Greg back on the show, and we have got to talk about his rant.
Oh, man. Everything he said was incorrect. He talked about boiling oceans. Well, the sea surface temperatures increased 0.8 of a degree since 1900. They're not boiling. They're not going to boil. They never have in the past. And it's just crazy. He talked about our atmosphere being a sewer dump for all of the pollution that we're... Well, anybody listening to this should just Google 2 words, EPA and pollution. Those 2 words, EPA and pollution, and see what you find. You'll get the EPA chart showing that goes back 40 plus years, showing that pollution of the 8 top pollutants in our atmosphere have been significantly declining. We probably have cleaner air and cleaner water today than we have since the start of the Industrial Revolution in 1850, and it's demonstrable. And they're claiming that it's unprecedented amount of pollution. No, it's not. It's unprecedented the amount of clean air we have. I mean, we had, for crying out loud, 40 years ago, Lake Erie was basically dead. The 3 rivers, and they're doing fishing tournaments in Lake Erie now. The 3 rivers of Pittsburgh, dead, no fish. They're doing bass fishing tournaments there now. We should celebrate that, and we're doing a great job improving the environment, improving our air, improving our water, and we should continue doing that. But they promote this narrative of this continuing climate apocalypse, and it's just not true.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really just continues to boggle my mind how much these people continue to trade on it. Al Gore became very wealthy promoting this narrative, and that's really the only thing you can call it. If it was a little better written, we could call it science fiction, but it's not written well enough to even deem it that. It's given him far too much credit on a literary quality scale. But just the fact that they continue to get away with it, and the fact that they promoted it so heavily at the end of Davos, that really, I think, tips the hand that this is more about an effort to continue to gain control over quality of life and how people are going to be living. Is there any other explanation? Because you know as well as I do at this point, these people can read the same data that you do. They're privy to it. They know the truth.
Yeah, what you're asking, isn't it, is why are they lying to us? That's the bottom line. And I get asked that a lot, and I'll tell you that I'll share with you the same thing I tell everybody else, all the other hosts that I have with my interviews. You are just as knowledgeable to tell me why they're doing it as I am. Everyone listening to the show is just as knowledgeable as I am to say why they're doing it. I'm a scientist. I can tell you this is what they're telling you, and this is what the facts are. And everyone listening, we're here tonight, can say, well, okay, well, they're doing it because of this or this or this. Is it control? Is it funding? Is it money? Is it whatever it is? There are a lot of reasons, and I can't look inside men's and women's souls to see what their motivations are, but I can tell you that what they're telling you is disputed by the actual facts, the science, and the data.
Yeah. Well, I mean, clearly, you do make the point extremely well there. The hearts and minds, a lot of different motivations, and a lot of different people are motivated in different fashion. And the scariest part is the folks that actually do believe in it, that are just true believers, part of the almost religious devotion to the ideas. And again, that's where this outreach program that you're doing with the CO2 Coalition, where we're educating young people, are really going to come in handy and change that tide. Because I was hearing a Democratic politician just a couple of weeks ago talk about how terrified their children are of the world that we're going to have because of climate change. And, the first thing that pops into my mind is, what did you do? Because what did you do? Why are you terrifying your child? And you can't tell if it's a direct result of these people not knowing better in some cases, but we do know that the people that continue to propagate this narrative, but they do mostly know better, and it's a shame that we don't have more people that take the time to find the facts.
It goes right to the schools. It goes right to the school system. We're attacking that, and we have a booth, and we'll be exhibitor at the National Science Teacher Association, and we're preparing a document right now to confront and rebut what their climate change statement is. It's just horrific. It's wrong. It's not based in science. It's based in climate alarmism, and we're gonna go right into the belly of the beast, and we're gonna be there. We have when people come up to us, we have 3 PhDs that will be in attendance at our booth. The PhD that wrote our lesson plans, Sharon Camp, Dr. Rafaela Nascimento, who's one of the top nanotechnology experts in the world, leader of the climate intellectuals of Brazil. Well, others will that we will be there. What are they going to do? They're going to stop up and say, "Well, you don't know what you're doing." Well, talk to a PhD chemist. Talk to a PhD physicist. Who will have nuclear physicists there? These are people that we're going to have at the National Science Teacher Association to combat their misinformation. We will probably get thrown out on our ear, but that's okay.
Well, somebody's got to fight the good fight, and I'm glad, personally, I'm very glad you're one of the people at the front line of this, because there aren't as many folks that I can think of off the top of my head that are as qualified and are as courageous in this fight as you have been. There's no backing down, and I love that. The ferocity of trying to bring truth and scientific and intellectual honesty is something that's missing. But I do think that when you talked about earlier, inconvenient facts, back to being number one, it's because there are more and more people realizing that they are being lied to, and there are so few places where they can go to find truthful information that can be easily documented and proven true, even from the sources that are trying to tell everybody be afraid. Greg, obviously we're already running a little long, and I didn't want to keep you too long, knowing that you're still trying to get back on the mend and recover. So before I let you go, please feel free to share any of those websites out there. Let folks know where they can find your work, and any other final messages you want to throw out there too. Go ahead and do all that right now.
Well, yeah, go to our information is CO2coalition.org. And if you want to get information, I really recommend going to see the videos we have for students at CO2 Learning Center, YouTube, CO2 Learning Center. We're gonna be rolling out CO2learningcenter.com probably in early March with all of our books, with our lesson plans, with the videos. But the videos right now are available on our YouTube at CO2 Learning Center YouTube.
All right, Greg. And again, thank you so much for joining me this evening.